Good evening, or should I say, good awakening, my delightful little dreamers. Now tell me, what did I just hear? Did someone blink and set themselves free? Nah, this can't be legal. No. Tell me it's a joke. Tell me it's a trick. Tell me it's some cheap party magician's gag. Since when can someone unhex themselves by doing nothing more than fluttering those fragile little eyelids? Do you realize what that means? The whole game you've been playing. The chains you swore were welded to your bones. The curses you thought were irreversible. The prison you convinced yourself was eternal. All of it could be undone with the smallest gesture. The tiniest flicker of choice. A blink, a moment, a fraction of defiance. And oh, isn't that infuriating? Because if freedom is that easy, then what's your excuse? If breaking the spell is that simple, then what monster have you really been serving all this time? The witch, the curse, or the cowardly part of yourself that wanted to believe you were doomed, so you'd never have to try? Listen closely, my curious little audience. The world thrives on convincing you that the cage is locked, when in reality, the door has been open the entire time. They want you paralyzed. They want you worshiping your own weakness. They want you chanting, I can't, I can't, I can't, until those words become your lullaby. Because the moment you blink, the moment you dare to say, maybe I can, you rip the spell to shreds. Do you hear me? The curse was never the curse. You were the curse, and now you get to be the cure. Oh, but here's the part that burns the deepest, isn't it? The reason some of you are already trembling. If freedom is that cheap, that quick, that laughably simple, then you wasted years of your life being your own jailer. All those nights drowning in despair, all those mornings smothered by doubt, all that suffering because you couldn't bring yourself to blink. And oh, I adore the tragedy of it. Because now you're faced with a choice. Do you continue to live as if the hex is still real, bowing to phantoms that have no power? Or do you take one breath, one blink, and shatter the illusion they sold you? Of course, that's terrifying, isn't it? Because if the lock was never real, if the curse was never binding, if the chains were always just shadows on the wall, then what else have you been lying to yourself about? What other rules collapse the moment you dare to test them? Do you know how dangerous that makes you? Because when you realize the bars were painted on glass, when you laugh in the face of every fake law and crooked rule, when you learn to blink away the illusion, you are no longer a victim of this circus. You are the ringmaster, and the world is nothing but your stage, your joke, your experiment in chaos. So my dear little wanderers, next time you whisper, nah, this can't be legal, remember this: what they call illegal is often just impossible for the obedient. What they call madness is just the sanity they could never dare to hold. And what they call a curse might just be your greatest comedy. So go ahead, blink unhex yourself, shatter the chains, and then laugh, louder than you've ever laughed before. Because the greatest crime you can commit in this world is realizing how free you already were. But don't get too comfortable, my darlings. Don't you dare think the blink is the end of it. No. It's only the beginning. Because the real horror isn't that you've been cursed. It's that you've been complicit. You see, the system doesn't need chains when it can teach you to kneel all by yourself. The spellcaster doesn't need a wand when you're willing to whip your own back. And the darkness doesn't even have to whisper when you've already memorized the lullaby of your own failure. That's the punchline. They never had power. You gave it to them. You polished their lies like sacred jewels. You carried their curses like trophies. You worshipped the very poison that made you sick. And why? Because it was easier than admitting the truth, that you were afraid of your own fire. Yes. You feared the explosion waiting inside your ribcage. You feared the monster that might erupt if you ever blinked and saw yourself clearly. You feared that freedom would force you to act, to rise, to burn down every paper wall that held you. So you called it a curse. You called it fate. You called it unfair. You pointed at the shadows and screamed, "Look, the witch has me trapped." But the witch was laughing, because you trapped yourself. And now, here we are. You, trembling with the key already in your hand. Me, laughing in your face because I know the moment you use it, you'll never be the same again. And the world? Oh, the world is already shaking, because it knows what happens when people stop playing the game. Do you want me to tell you the secret? Once you unhex yourself, once you realize the blink is enough, nothing is sacred anymore. Nothing. Not their laws, not their morals, not their pretty little lies. You'll see it all for what it really is, a stage play, a carnival, a joke written by cowards and acted out by the blind. And that, my beautiful little chaos seeds, is when you become dangerous. Not because you broke free, no, but because you learned you were never bound to begin with. So go ahead, blink, but don't stop there. Tear your own mask off, rip the script they gave you to shreds. Blink so hard the whole world flinches at the thunderclap of your awakening. Blink until every false prophet, every crooked preacher, every snake oil sorcerer realizes their curse never worked on you. And then you laugh. Laugh so loud, the walls of the prison crack. Laugh so hard, the curse casters choke on their silence. Laugh until the universe itself leans in and asks, "Wait, was it all just a joke?" Oh, my dear, it always was. So go ahead. Blink. Break the spell. Shatter the chains. Watch the smoke rise from the ashes of every lie you ever believed. Feel it. The weight that you swore was welded to your bones, evaporating into nothing but dust. Every curse that ever haunted you, every phantom that ever whispered in your ear, every shadow you ever bowed before. Gone, dissolved in a single flicker of defiance. And when the world glares at you with wide, frightened eyes and whispers, "Nah, this can't be legal." You don't explain, you don't defend, you don't beg. You simply smile, calm, cold, collected, and you let them tremble. Because they've just witnessed the forbidden truth, that you were never bound, never broken, never cursed. You were always the fire. You were always the storm. You were always the hand that held the key. You were the joke they feared, the riddle they could never solve, the nightmare they tried to bury beneath their rules and their rituals. And now, here you sit, proof that their power was never power at all. Only illusion, only smoke, only the fragile theater of control. And now you sit above it all, calm in your chair, chaos at your feet, and you laugh. Not the laugh of a clown, but the laugh of a man who discovered that the cruelest trick of all was how easy it was to be free. Easy enough to mock their entire system with one blink. Easy enough to tear down their temples with a single smile. Easy enough to turn their sacred curses into punchlines. Ha 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 ha. And that, my dear audience, is the final crime. The crime they'll never forgive you for. The crime of blinking once and never being the same again. The crime of proving that the prison was never real, that the curse was never binding, that their laws were nothing but painted glass. The crime of showing the world that if freedom is this easy, then everyone else has no excuse. And excuses, oh, those are the lifeblood of the obedient. Strip them away, and the obedient see their own cowardice naked for the first time. And they hate you for it. They will always hate you for it. So let them. Let them spit. Let them scream. Let them call you mad. Because when all is said and done, when the last chain has melted into smoke, and the last curse has turned to laughter, when the last whisper of doubt dies in the back of your skull, you'll know. You'll know that you won. You'll know that you are always free. You'll know that the only real crime was believing in their chains in the first place. And the punchline, my dear audience, is this. If a blink can unmake the curse, imagine what the rest of you could do.